I know this is difficult, but you have to keep fighting. You're not alone in this.
Yes. At 34, he had built Chambers Global from a startup into a billion-dollar enterprise, which meant sleep was a luxury and late-night work sessions were routine. Mr. Chambers? The voice was professional but urgent. This is Memorial Hospital. We have a patient here, Jessica Morgan. You're listed as her emergency contact. Adrian's mind went blank for a moment. Jessica Morgan, his executive assistant. The young woman who had worked for him for 2 years, managing his impossible schedule with quiet efficiency. What happened? Adrian asked, already reaching for his keys. She collapsed at home. A neighbor called 911. She's stable now, but she's asking for you. Can you come? 20 minutes later, Adrian walked through the sterile hospital corridors, still wearing his suit from that morning's board meeting, now 16 hours ago. A nurse led him to a private room where Jessica lay in a hospital bed, looking smaller and more vulnerable than he'd ever seen her. At 28, Jessica was brilliant at her job, always composed, always 3 steps ahead of what Adrian needed. But now her face was pale against a white pillow, dark circles under her eyes, and 4 lines running to her arm. "Mr. Chambers," she said weakly when she saw him. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for them to call you. I should have updated my emergency contact information." Adrian pulled a chair close to her bedside. "Why would you apologize for being sick?" "Because you shouldn't have to be here at 2 a.m, Jessica said. "You have the investor meeting at 8. The quarterly presentation. I didn't finish preparing the dash." "Jessica," Adrian interrupted gently. "Stop. Just stop." He looked at her properly then, really seeing her for perhaps the first time in months. The exhaustion etched in her face, the way her hands trembled slightly, the medication bags hanging beside her bed. "How long have you been sick?" he asked quietly. Jessica's eyes filled with tears. "I wasn't sick. I just forgot to eat. I've been working such long hours, and I kept thinking I'd grab something later, and then later never came. I passed out in my apartment. My neighbor found me." Adrian felt something cold settle in his chest. "When did you last have a meal?" "I had coffee yesterday morning," Jessica said. "And I think I ate lunch the day before. Or maybe that was breakfast. The days have been running together." "Why didn't you tell me you were struggling?" "Because you rely on me," Jessica said simply. "Because the Tokyo deal was closing and the merger paperwork needed filing, and 3 executives needed their presentations prepared. Because I'm your assistant, Mr. Chambers. My job is to handle things so you don't have to worry about them." Adrian stood and walked to the window, his back to Jessica. Outside, the city lights twinkled against the darkness, indifferent to the small human dramas playing out in hospital rooms. 5 years ago, he said quietly, "my father died of a heart attack in his office. He was working on a Sunday alone, reviewing contracts. He collapsed at his desk, and no one found him until Monday morning." He turned back to face Jessica. "Do you know what the last thing he said to me was? It was that he'd review my proposal after he finished just one more deal. There was always one more deal, one more contract, one more impossible deadline." Jessica watched him silently, and Adrian saw understanding beginning to dawn in her eyes. "I promised myself I'd never become him," Adrian continued. "I swore I'd build a company that valued people over profits, that recognized humans can't run on empty indefinitely. And somewhere along the way, I broke that promise." He sat back down beside her bed. "Jessica, why am I your emergency contact? Where's your family?" "My parents passed away 3 years ago," Jessica said softly. "Car accident. I have a brother, but we had a falling out after the funeral. He thought I was cold because I went back to work 2 weeks later. He didn't understand that work was the only thing keeping me together." Adrian nodded slowly. "And friends?" I haven't had time, Jessica admitted, between work and trying to keep up with everything. There just aren't enough hours. So you're alone, Adrian said, working yourself into the ground for a company that would replace you in a week if something happened to you. Jessica flinched as if he'd slapped her. That's not Dash. It's exactly true, Adrian interrupted. And it's my fault. I've created an environment where you felt you had to sacrifice your health, your relationships, your life, just to keep up with impossible demands. He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of frustration unusual for him. Do you know what the nurse told me when I got here? They asked about your medical history, and I realized I know nothing about you. I know you take your coffee black, and that you type at 90 words per minute. I know you anticipate my needs before I voice them, but I don't know your favorite food or if you have allergies or what you do on weekends. I work on weekends, Jessica said quietly. That ends now, Adrian said firmly. When you're released from here, you're taking a month off. Full pay. And when you come back, we're restructuring your position. 40 hours a week maximum. I'm hiring 2 more assistants to share the workload. Mr. Chambers, that's not necessary, Dash. It's not negotiable, Adrian said. And there's something else. I'm listed as your emergency contact because you have no one else. That's going to change, too. Jessica looked confused. I don't understand. Adrian pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. I'm texting you my personal number. Not the work line you already have, but my actual cell phone. If you need anything, day or night, you call that number. Mr. Chambers, Dash. Adrian, he corrected. Outside of work, you call me Adrian. And I need you to understand something, Jessica. You're not just my assistant. You're a person I've worked beside for 2 years. A person who's been carrying an impossible load because I was too blind to see it. He leaned forward, his expression earnest. My father died alone in his office because everyone in his life was just an employee or a business contact. I don't want that. I don't want to be the person who only matters to people during business hours. Jessica's tears spilled over then, and Adrian instinctively reached for her hand. I'm so tired, she whispered. I'm so tired of pretending I'm fine when I'm barely holding on. Then stop pretending, Adrian said gently. Take the month. Sleep. Eat regular meals. Find your brother and mend that fence if you can. Build a life that's about more than quarterly reports. They sat in silence for a long moment. Adrian still holding Jessica's hand, both of them processing the weight of everything that had been said. Why are you being so kind to me? Jessica finally asked. Because you called for me, Adrian said simply. Out of everyone in this city, when you were scared and alone in a hospital, you called for me. That means something. That means I have a responsibility to be worthy of that trust. He squeezed her hand gently. And because I'm learning, maybe too late, that the greatest success isn't measured in profits or market share. It's measured in whether the people around us feel.